everybody.
Hi, friends. Well, from snowy and increasingly cold Salt Lake City, Utah.
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
It's just a podcast about a couple guys exploring religion and politics from two atheists just trying to survive life in these United States. Just chilling.
Yeah. And I'm just Frank Feldman.
And whatever, I'm Dan Beecher. How many podcasts are there where I've seen so many podcasts where it's like, oh, what's your podcast about? And they're like, oh, it's about whatever. We talk about whatever's cool or whatever we want. It's just
sign me up.
Sounds great.
I want to hear that podcast.
I'm really excited about it.
Anyway, let's get on with our podcast that is about something. This week, in fact, on the later on the show, we're going to be talking about the disaster in Los Angeles, the fire.
Yeah. I thought you were talking about the Oscars. Okay, the fire, right.
Oh, Dan, too soon. Wait, about which topic? But anyway, we're going to be talking about that and the miracles, Dan.
Oh, they're happening.
The disrespectful fucking miracle, quote unquote miracles.
Mm-hmm.
I find it distasteful and disgusting and opportunistic, and we're going to be getting to that on later up.
We don't approve of your work, Jesus.
Later on in the show, we'll be getting onto that. But first, we have some news of the week, things that have happened, things that warrant our attention, Dan.
Oh, yes.
Serious topics, such as a Spanish mayor in Spain. That's important.
Not M-A-R-E, not a horse, a female horse, but a mayor.
Correct.
I heard mayor.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Dan.
Just clarifying, not criticizing. Not criticizing
He
your bad
is the
Oklahoma accent.
The mayor. He's the mayor of Soria, which is a city in north central Spain. I'm not exactly clear as to why he did what he did, but it was some sort of stunt or I don't get it, but he had sort of a makeshift Pope mobile that he was riding around in. And if you're familiar with the Pope mobile, right?
Oh, yes.
This is the Pope's wave at the crowds car, right? He had like a little mock-up one made, and that was on top of a car, and he's riding around in it, and he's blessing passers-by with a wet toilet brush. He was like dipping into a bucket of water and sort of doing that like blessed with holy water, flinging water at the crowd. He had sort of people dressed as the Swiss Guard, the Vatican Swiss Guard.
So he's definitely doing Pope shtick.
Oh, he is doing the Pope's shtick. He has some fake bishops and cardinals and altar boys also sort of alongside the car walking around, and okay, cool, whatever. Well, apparently this is...
Wait, are you about to tell me that doing Pope bits isn't going to go over well with a Catholic country?
Not only does it not go over well, it is a crime.
Oh, shit.
He committed, apparently, a crime. He's being charged with offending, like, people's beliefs, right? That whole thing, right?
Yeah.
Which I have a problem with those kind of laws.
Yeah.
I think that especially religious figures and religious organizations need to be, we need to be able to criticize and we need to be able to mock if they deserve our mockery. And
or if they don't, it's just you need to be allowed to say whatever you want to say.
Well, I say if they deserve our mockery, they do deserve our mockery. But anywho, so anyway, he is being accused of committing a crime of mockery under the Spanish criminal code, which relates to derision or harassment of religious feelings. The offense could result up to 12 months in jail for Mr. Mayor.
Does he get to keep the Pope mobile?
It's been impounded. They're taking this very seriously, Dan. I don't know about it being impounded. But yeah, there's a picture of him. He's having a grand time. He's just
I'm
in
sure.
shorts and a t-shirt and just whisking or wicking, flicking water at people.
You're telling me he did shorts and a t-shirt and not a Pope mitre hat?
No. He actually, I don't see costume for him. He's literally just riding around in the Pope mobile.
Oh, that's what he needs to be arrested for. He missed the trick entirely.
Yeah. Oh, apparently, I guess it was part of some festival. That detail was buried in a caption on a photo.
I see.
I didn't see that when I read the story. But anyway, yeah, cuckoo.
There you go.
What a nut. Because, like, first of all, like, you should just be smart enough that your job is not to offend people.
No,
dude,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like, go do it. You want to go offend a bunch of people, fine. But you do have to be reelected at some point, and presumably you want to appeal to as many people in the predominantly Catholic country that you're in. I don't know.
Yeah, I like that kind of mayor, though. I mean, it's not good. That's not a good mayor.
No.
But that's my kind of mayor. The kind of mayor that's like definitely going to fuck up and definitely not going to get reelected. But it's going to do some wacky shit and you don't know what's going to happen.
Our wacky mayor got reelected, Dan. Rocky Anderson?
Was he wacky?
He wasn't this wacky, but he was fine offending people, right?
Yeah.
Like it can be a thing. Like if you know your community and you know that the majority of the people don't like, Catholics, maybe he's fine, right?
Right.
I think he just didn't see it as being as that offensive for whatever reason.
I just think he didn't read the room. Read the room. Come on, man.
All right.
Well, okay. I'm going to take us to the world.
Mm-hmm.
That's where my next story takes place, in which there is, and one hates to admit this because of how annoying how annoyingly people talk about this. There is oppression of Christians and persecution of Christians in the world.
I reject this, Dan.
You do.
I do.
Okay. So there's a new report out. It's the annual watch list, but this one's it's the latest, by an evangelical nonprofit called Open Doors. One is skeptical, I understand. But they do have they rank the 50 countries where Christians are most persecuted or discriminated.
Can I guess the number one, Dan? Is it the United States? Because I'm pretty sure, judging by how Christians act in this country, that they're really, really persecuted here, Dan.
Surely, to hear them talk, this is the worst place a Christian could possibly live. It is the most painful experience a Christian can have to be Christian in these United States.
So if you tell me any other country, if the United States isn't in the top 5, Dan, I reject these numbers.
You reject the premise outright.
I reject it.
Yeah. Didn't make the list.
What?
Didn't make the list.
It's not even on the list?
No. US, Canada, pretty much all of Europe. If anyone around you claims that Christians are persecuted, you can tell them to fuck right off. And then they will be like, see, you're persecuting me right now.
Yeah. They're so
Which will make them happy. There's nothing that makes an unpersecuted Christian happier than feeling persecuted.
Than actually getting to witness and experience it for themselves. Yeah.
According to this thing, now here's the thing. We know that there is massive amounts of persecution of Christians in parts of the world, specifically kind of South Asia and sort of North Africa, places that are either predominantly Muslim or, like in the case of India, predominantly Hindu and Hindu nationalist at that. Things are really bad for Christians in those places, and it's a very real problem. And, you know, people lose their houses and lose their jobs and are murdered and are beaten up and are shamed and are whatever, treated as badly as Christians in the U.S. treat all of them when they're here. Like treated as badly as Christians treat Muslims and Hindus.
Right.
And worse, and treated much, much worse as well.
I mean,
this report says that 1 in 7 Christians experience a high level of persecution, which is actually, I don't know. It's hard for me to judge this. But I at least take them at their word that it's high. I don't know if it's 380 million people high.
Oh, wow.
But I have no reason to doubt them, really.
Yeah.
And you know, things are really bad in a lot of places.
Yeah.
We're talking about, you know, in places like, sub-Saharan. It's going up in places like sub-Saharan Africa, but obviously North Korea, not a great place to be a Christian.
Yeah.
But Somalia, Yemen, Libya, Sudan, Eritrea, Nigeria, Pakistan, Iran, Afghanistan. These are like, it's not good to be a Christian there.
I mean, yeah, sure, I hear you, but and one does not want to blame the victim.
No.
But do they go around acting like the Christians here?
I'm going to presume no. But
because I mean, that is my experience. That's the only context I have for Christians, right? Are the people here, Dan?
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I do feel that what Frank is calling for is less persecution elsewhere of Christians and more persecution here.
I mean, doesn't it
to
feel like
balance it out?
Doesn't it feel like they deserve it?
Yes, it does. It very much does.
Oh, not the right answer.
No, but
right
you wanna.
Well, this is the God, Dan, and you're listing like some places in the world that like already aren't great to be in.
No,
you know,
no, like Afghanistan will persecute you for being a Christian, but you're not going to feel great if you're just an Afghan woman.
Yeah, Afghanistan will persecute you for being apparently Afghani.
Yeah,
like, and for being a human being, you're just a human being. They're going to find something to persecute you about.
If you're not at the top of the Taliban, you're just persecuted if you're in Afghanistan. That's no big deal.
It's not because you're Christian. Shut up.
That's just the reason that they give. If you weren't Christian, they'd give a different reason.
Ouch, Dan. I feel like there's a line. We're either really close to it or we've stepped over it.
You know what? Come at me, Taliban. What you got? Come and get it. I'm here.
I feel a little icky.
Yeah, we're definitely going to get in trouble for going after the Taliban. They're going to come down on us hard on that one.
It's more about I don't want to make light of the fact that these people are in a horrible situation, right?
I hope that it's very clear that we are not saying that.
Right. That we can both acknowledge the horror of Christian persecution in other places.
Yes.
And make fun of Christians at the same time. Hopefully.
Frank's afraid of the woke mob, you guys.
Oh, God, they're everywhere. All right, Dan.
Yes.
Is that what you got?
That's it.
Okay.
There's a lot of sad Christians out there.
Well, all right. I've got a story from Oklahoma.
Oh.
Having to deal with that charming Ryan Walters, their superintendent Ryan Walters, their state,
Yes.
who's over the schools at the sort of the state level in Oklahoma.
Such a handsome young boy.
Yeah. Anyway, the Daily Oklahoman, or I guess it's just called the Oklahoman now. It used to be the Daily Oklahoman.
I have a subscription.
It's a fine newspaper.
Fine
newspaper. Anyway, they conducted an online poll to sort of gauge their readers' opinions of Mr. Walters. More than 4,000 people took part in the online poll conducted between January 6th through 10th. I don't know how scientific this poll is. I suspect it had some problems from a purely like professional poll standards perspective.
A demographer's perspective.
I don't know that this fully gauges Oklahomans at large.
How dare you?
But the results are, I think, kind of telling. They asked their readers to give Ryan Walters a grade. Just A through F, right? Skipping no E in there. Just like in a normal school grades, A being good, F being bad. 95% gave him an F.
Wow.
95% gave him an F. That 3,800 respondents were like, boo. Only 3% gave him an A.
Wait, was this just an online poll?
Yeah. That's why I'm saying.
Oh,
okay. Yeah. But anyway, only 3% gave him an A. 2% gave him a D. And so people, and they asked people to leave comments, and they were scathing. And if you know newspaper comment sections, they're always very kind. They're kind on
Franklin is lying to you.
It could be a story about kittens, and the goddamned people on the Deseret News here in Salt Lake would find awful things to say about the kittens. So and then they had another question of like asking what he should do. Right. And 97% clicked on the option of get real, forget the cultural stuff, and launch a major campaign to help public schools in their efforts to improve math and reading scores and be prepared to succeed in life. So that leaves only 3% divided fairly evenly between don't give up, keep up your national image campaign, keep appearing on conservative talk shows. It's just a matter of time before you're recognized and appreciated by the Trump administration. I don't think the Daily Oklahoman likes Ryan Walters at all.
No, it doesn't sound like it does.
And the other option was, come on home, keep up the fight for Bibles in the classroom and no porn in the libraries. Religious charter schools need public funding.
Oh my God.
Because he also was the one famously behind the Catholic charter school, the online Catholic charter school getting state funds. And
that sounds no porn. I love the idea of like
porn in libraries.
He's saving the children from all of that porn that is famously there in the libraries,
in school libraries. Yes, indeed. Yeah, he's a peach. And it turns out that, correct. It is correct to point out this was an online poll, and
therefore meaningless.
Pretty meaningless, except for the fact of how overwhelming the response was.
Sure,
I think that there's something in there that suggests that maybe Oklahomans, by and large, aren't totally insane.
Frank, I believe that the correct term is Oklahomos.
Well, Oklahomos are delightful.
I only know one, but I like him a lot.
Oh, Dan. I can barely even claim Oklahoma at this point, except for the fact that I will one day own a trailer park in Oklahoma.
And we'll leave it at that.
Let's just confuse everyone.
Yeah. I'm going to switch to, all right, everyone just put on your seatbelt, but don't worry, we're not going all the way there. I am going to talk about national politics in the U.S. As you are hearing this, we now have a president again. I'm not going to talk about him. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. But we also have Speaker of the House Mike Johnson still. The guy who was good enough for Matt Gaetz is who Mike Johnson is. I think that says it all. He is awful, and I am going to tell you about two things. First of all, he got a bill passed in the House banning trans girls from playing sports and women, trans women from playing women's sports. And he, in order to do so, his justification was Genesis, was the book of Genesis.
Oh, the book
the
of
Bible.
Genesis. Okay, all right.
I just feel, not the 80s band.
Or well, of course, I flashed to the Wrath of Khan, but Project Genesis.
Yes. No nerdy references, just the dumb, stupid Bible, where he thinks it's absolutely painfully clear. He said, well, it goes back to the first book, not the first book, Genesis. Male and female, he made them. This is Johnson speaking. He said, I'm not sure there's another interpretation, but everybody's open to interpreting scripture however they will.
Okay.
I can tell you there are other interpretations, Mike.
No.
I do a whole podcast about the Bible. I've met so many Bible scholars, people who know it way better than you do, Mikey boy. And yeah, you might want to ask them. I mean, he doesn't want to ask them. Because
he doesn't care what scholars have to say, Dan.
He doesn't care what the Bible has to say. He doesn't give a fuck about what the Bible says. He cares about consolidating his power and going against the Constitution of the United States.
I will differ with you just slightly on your assessment of Mike Johnson. I think he does care about what the Bible says because I believe that he is a true believer, and that's why I think he's extra scary. Is that I think he is not just a cynical politician.
Well, okay.
I think he's actually a true believing Christian nationalist politician.
I actually don't doubt you on that.
But I will say, and so I think he has the fervor of a true believer, and I think that's why he's more scary to me. But that's just,
so I'm going to amend my statement.
Okay.
I'm still going to hold that he doesn't actually care what the Bible says.
Okay.
He cares about what his brand of Christianity believes the Bible says.
Fair enough.
Even though it doesn't.
Fair enough. Well, but I mean, even just taking him at his word, like just man and woman, is that the phrasing that he used? God created
male and female.
Male and female, like, also doesn't address the issue of trans people at all.
No,
right? Like, sorry,
it does. It might at best it addresses the idea of non-binary.
Yes. Okay.
At best, and I don't think it does that either.
Right.
But you could make the argument that he's saying that that there is a binary.
Yeah.
Guess what? Trans people can be on that binary.
Yeah.
Different. Just not what they were assigned at birth.
Correct. Yeah.
So
doesn't feel like God made a mistake there.
God
feels maybe like the doctor.
Right. Here's the thing.
Feels like maybe the assignment of gender was incorrect.
God makes mistakes plenty in the Bible. to the point where at one point, I don't know if you remember this, it's kind of a little known story. He murders everybody on the planet because he was like, oh shit, I did these wrong, except for this one group. I'll let them stick around and I'll just start over.
But he did the murder right.
Oh my gosh, he did a great murder. He just killed everybody.
Dan, but God didn't kill the people. The water killed the people.
No, Frank. Yes, gods don't kill people. Water kills people. You're right. It's a known fact.
Just feel like we should point that out and be clear. Dan.
You make a good point, man. I don't know. I don't know how to argue with that. Just get out of the way of the water and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Mike, I was also going to do a story about Mike Johnson wanting to switch up the house chaplain. He's working on getting rid of the current house chaplain.
Oh, rid of. That's good.
No, getting rid of the nice-looking, liberal-looking lady.
Oh, no.
And replacing her with the most Karen pastor you can imagine.
Oh, really?
Yes. She wants to talk to the manager of the house.
Does she have the hair?
Oh, she's got the hair.
You can see her a mile coming.
Yeah.
All right.
You'll appreciate it. I'll send you a picture just so you can appreciate like who he's trying to get to be the new pastor.
Nice.
Of the house. The one on the left is obviously the one I'm talking. The one with the dyed blonde hair and the American flag sweater.
Oh yeah, she sounds nice.
Yeah, she's great. Okay, I didn't hit send. There. Now you can look at it.
Oh, okay.
Anyway,
isn't she like an online prophet?
No, that's not Kat Kerr.
That's not Kat Kerr?
I know you think, I can see why you would think that that's Kat Kerr. Her hair is usually pink anyway.
Oh, that's true.
That's Becky Tirabassi.
Oh, okay.
Who I don't know if she will be the next, because I don't know what the process is, but apparently Mike can't do it himself. So he's working with Minority Leader Jeffries to try and get something. But Mike Johnson definitely did not like it when current House Chaplain Margaret Kibben, apparently she prayed recently and asked God to help lawmakers defend against, quote, enemies within.
Ew.
Everyone, knowing that she was a liberal, took that to be about incoming.
Yeah.
The scary incoming thing.
Yeah.
I think she was quiet quitting, to be honest. That's what that reads to me. She's like, please, can I be released from this hell?
Yeah.
Please. Thank you.
Oh, golly. Yeah. Well, if they need a backup, I think Kat Kerr would be a great second choice.
You know what? It's such a clown show over there anyway. Go all the way. Why are you backing away from this?
Yeah.
I love it. Kat Kerr for chaplain.
Yeah, Kat Kerr is the one that's like ridden rainbows in heaven, right?
Oh yeah, Jesus has unicorns for us when we're ready.
Yeah. All right. Well, Dan, bring things back home a little bit here. There's an ongoing issue, a lawsuit against the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
The Mormons.
This is the tithing lawsuit. It's turned into this class action lawsuit, claiming that the church misrepresented how they would be using tithing money, and transferred a ton into an investment account of portfolio, constructed their own wholly owned investment firm, and built a fortune of I guess when the news broke, it was like $150 billion or something like that.
That we know about. One
whistleblower came forward who had worked at the financial what do you call it?
Eagle something.
Yeah.
Eagle Point or whatever it is.
Ensign Peak
Yes.
Advisors. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they're saying that was wrong, that the money should have been used as one would expect tithing to be used, which is to run the church, maybe some charitable work, blah, blah, blah. Right.
To which the church argued, no, in this country, we ain't got to tell you shit about how we use our money, and fuck off.
Yeah. So much so that a lawyer this week in a hearing. So the church has let's see, there's a motion that they've made to toss out the case, saying essentially that this cannot be the purview of secular courts. How a church uses its tithing money.
Right. And they're kind of probably right.
The church argued that because the tithing was seen as a sacred obligation, that it would force the court basically to be delving into issues of faith and belief that the First Amendment declares off limits. Let's see, the judge, they argued that faiths could be liable for fraud because that's what the plaintiffs are accusing the church of, in cases of embezzlement or when funds were solicited for a specific cause, say helping victims of the Los Angeles wildfires, but then using those funds for other purposes like buying a pastor new clothes. So they're saying that you could come at us for. Right.
They're saying because we didn't tell you what we were going to do with it, we just told you have to pay us.
Correct.
You don't have any rights to talk about this.
You are paying tithing based on faith, right?
Yeah.
That's your motivation, right? And for us to try to parse out the complicated reasons that you might actually have about paying your tithing, that's we're getting too far into your personal belief, right?
Yeah.
So they're saying that fraud claims over tithing are necessarily out of bounds because they would involve parsing personal motives for giving the tithing that are rooted in spirituality, as well as what commandments from God or statements from religious leaders on which the donors may have relied.
They're rooted in spirituality, because if there's one thing we know about Mormons, it's that they're a spiritual lot.
So the lawyer says there is no way for secular courts to mediate this dispute. And so the judge pushed back, basically questioning whether this would be creating that this interpretation would be creating a safe harbor in U.S. law from all fraud allegations for anyone who invokes religion and labels any cash in question as tithing.
Yeah, of course it does.
And he says, the judge said, you don't escape fraud liability just by creating a church. So good.
Except you do.
Well,
I mean, yes, legally speaking, you shouldn't be able to. But that's
right.
But practically speaking, that's what ends up happening.
Right. So I guess the attorney responded saying that the cases involving tithing do merit a safe harbor. That, he said, is the price we have to pay to have freedom of religion and keeping secular courts out of faith.
Yeah.
Well, that's too high of a price, right?
Well, here's the thing.
Like that is not the purpose of freedom of religion, right? Is to protect churches from fraud allegations. Like that's not the point. Right.
I do think that there is something to be said for caveat emptor or whatever it is. Like, it does feel like there's a buyer beware situation. Like, if you're giving money to a fucking church, yeah, you're kind of, you don't, I don't know. I kind of see their point.
Well,
they don't,
I mean,
it's a dumb thing to do to give your money to a church.
Correct. But if the church is presenting itself one way as far in their teaching, right? That this is what tithing is. This is why you pay it. This is what it's for. This is how we use it, right?
Yes.
And then they go about creating a fund that grows so large that they're able to build a $2 billion mall in downtown Salt Lake City. They're able to financially bail out an insurance company that they wholly own. And amongst the other things that they've done with it that were also very businessy, right? Like this, and never once having used any of that money that they've raised and diverting it toward the actual kind of things that they say tithing is for, right? Like if you're going to like build a big slush fund and they had turned it into some humanitarian fund and we're out doing amazing good things with it, I agree. I don't know that you could claim that was fraud. They took the money, they made more with it, and now they're doing the thing that they said they were going to do. But instead, they're going off and they haven't done one thing up to the point of where people caught wind of this slush fund, right? That actually counted as a charitable act. They didn't use the money charitably at all.
But I guess what I thought the point here is that they never did say what they were going to use it for. They just said, give it to us. And then the people did.
Right, but they have doctrine about what tithing is for. They have teachings, right? What the prophet says over the pulpit, sure, that's important, right? But but also they do point to something that Hinckley said, and it's not in this article, so I don't have it at the ready. But I remember there was a quote from Hinckley about where the funds were coming from to pay for the mall.
Hinckley, ladies and gentlemen, is Gordon Hinckley, Gordon B. Hinckley, if you're nasty.
Gordon Bittner Hinckley.
Who was a prophet of the Mormon Church.
Yeah. And he did say publicly that they were using, money from the church's business investments or something like that. And he said it in such a way that led you to believe that they weren't using the sacred money for it. Right. And so, but that they were being good stewards and blah, 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 blah of this money that they've made. And it's like, well, I mean, it does beg the question of when does money that you've given to a church stop being tithing money, right?
Yeah.
Like that's what they're going to have to get into with this case. But anyway, so it doesn't, the judge, the federal judge who's hearing this case, he did also press back quite a bit against the plaintiffs. Like this was not a hearing that just went very poorly for the church. It kind of also didn't go terribly great for the plaintiffs. So nobody really, I don't know what if they have a sense of what the judge is going to do.
I think the takeaway here is that when someone gives money to a church, nobody wins.
Except the church.
Well, the church does fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
But I hear what you're saying, which is just if you can't look at the history of churches, right?
Right.
And think to yourself, like if you don't realize that yours is just another one of all of these churches, and that if all the rest of them have behaved poorly, why do you think yours is so fucking special? Why do you think that how delusional do you have to be to not realize that it's the category is the problem?
Well,
churches are the problem. They are going to do dumb stuff with your money. They're going to misuse it. They're going to have people who are living large off of it, right? Who are benefiting financially off of it.
Yeah.
Like it's just what they do.
Not only that, especially if you're a Mormon, look around. Do you look at all of at very least, now I have plenty of problems with the Catholic Church, but at very least, I see Catholic shelters. I see Catholic charities giving to, feeding people.
Right.
look around you, Mormons. where is the LDS like help
Yeah.
for people in need? Other than other Mormons who have to then go through their bishop and beg and, sort of humiliate themselves and whatever.
Yeah. One of the things that happens in Salt Lake County is, and in all the counties in Utah, because it's a cold area, is that the county government asks for churches and other places that might be willing to open up at night when the temperatures get really fucking cold, to have a warming station overnight. And they get all sorts of churches to sign up and open up their, gymnasiums or fellowship
whatever.
halls or whatever. And so you have Baptist churches doing it. You have whatever sort of church that there might be in Salt Lake County doing it. Not a single LDS chapel opens up for this purpose. Not a single one. And it's not like the church is then funding some other place to open up.
Right.
They don't support it. They don't give in that way at all. And it's so bad that up in Davis County, one of these other non-Mormon churches decided that they were going to be a warming station on the ultra cold nights. And the Mormon community, it's a very Mormon area up where this happened. All of the neighbors screamed bloody murder. Right?
Not in my backyard.
Not in my backyard. And they shut the whole thing down.
Yeah.
They got this church to back off and be like, oh shit. We didn't realize our Mormon neighbors were so horrible.
Do you remember when Jesus, in one of his famous sermons said, ew, homeless people, gross.
Yeah, I
and
forgot
lo,
about that one.
He said unto them, he's stinky. Get him away from me. All right. I'm going to move us on to, speaking of the Catholics, you and I have done many a story over the years, as have everybody, about Catholics and their proclivities toward abusing people, usually children. And that you and I have a mantra that where you have a diocese, there you have a child abuse problem.
Yeah.
It's not wrong. It's matter of fact, it's probably more right than we even know. It's actually probably still wildly underreported and underdealt with.
Yeah.
Which is shocking.
Yeah.
Because a new report just came out talking about how much money the U.S. Catholic Church has had to pay to abuse victims and because of their abuse. So I'm talking about not just abuse victims, but also like attorneys' fees and support for all these various things. And the number is high.
Mm-hmm.
Over $5 billion.
What?
Has gone to, that's $5,000 million.
What?
The Catholic Church in the United States has had to pay.
What?
And this is between 2004 and 2023.
That's a fuck ton of money.
Yeah. Apparently 3/4 of the $5.025 billion went to abuse victims. I'm glad. Good.
Okay. Yeah.
17% went to attorneys' fees. 6% was in support for alleged abusers.
Oh, the abusers.
What? What does that mean? I guess they're paying for therapy or electroshock treatment. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. Huh. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Or is it just the cost of moving them to another parish so that nobody knows and so that they can continue with their abuse? I don't know what that 6% is for. But yeah, that's $5 billion
Jesus Christ.
is just the scope of that. It's hard to figure. It's hard to wrap your head around. Yeah. I mean, other than the Mormons, no church should have $5 billion.
No, but the Mormons should.
I mean, the Mormons should. It's good for them to have it. As we know, they use it so well.
Yeah. Oh my God.
They should start having to pay these things. I don't know why the Mormon abuse. I think
they can afford literally the most evil lawyers.
Well, not only that,
to protect them.
They do settlements with clauses that, with what do they call them? Shut up clauses.
And they have the money to.
Yeah. So
Oh,
it's all swept under the rug. But yeah, $5 billion is not a small number. That is, and the nice thing is, some of the, look, no amount of money fixes the trauma that a child suffers when a person in the most trusted position of power over them, or one of the most trusted, abuses that power and horribly scars that child.
Yeah. No, if the money can give some comfort to those affected, good.
Yeah,
but this is punitive. It has to be seen. To me, I see it as like bleed the Catholic Church.
Yeah,
because
and do give it to the victims and give them more than you think they deserve.
Yeah.
And all of the judges who are listening to this, always and if you're ever on a jury, obviously award the maximum that you can. Like, take a number and then imagine a higher one and award that.
1. Can you?
Go 2. Higher than 1.
I'm imagining a number, Dan.
Okay.
Can you guess?
I'd rather not.
Okay.
I'd rather leave it to mystery. So that's and more is to come. This isn't slowing or stopping at all. And I hope that more states and more places, do temporary injunctions or temporary stoppages of like statutes of limitations, that sort of thing, because I think that was a real boon for a lot of people who wanted to feel a sense of justice.
Yeah. Good Lord.
I don't know. I don't know if you end up feeling justice if you win one of these cases, but at very least it's good, as you say, to make sure that the Catholic Church feels it, so that they feel like they have to do something about it. Because they don't. So much of the time, they don't feel like they should have to do it, like they have to do anything. They just pay the money and then they don't worry about it. So there you go. $5 billion. Let's get them up to 10. I vote we push it that number as high as we can until they stop abusing people. That'd be great. All right. If you would like to comment on this or any of our topics today, feel free to write into us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number.
Oh, we love the voicemail. Do the voicemail.
The telephone number is 424-666-8442. Stick around. There's more show coming up.
Well, Franks, we've had some folks write into us. It is Professor Corner today.
Oh,
as both of our emails that I'm going to read are from academics.
Oh, interesting. Okay,
here we go. Hi, Frank and Dan. I thought I would chime in. This is from Mark, who says, I thought I would chime in. As a PhD biochemist, you remember we talked about seed oils?
Oh, yeah, sure.
I should introduce it. This is about that. As a PhD biochemist who has studied lipids and inflammation for decades, though not a nutritionist, I can say that inflammation is the foundation of most deadly diseases in modern cultures. It is a primary contributor of cancer, heart disease, stroke, respiratory disease, liver disease, etc., as well as being a primary problem with diabetes, arthritis, and obesity. These omega-6 fatty acids, those are the ones that are frequently contained in seed oils, in what we call seed oils, are key to that. If you have a fever or a headache and take an anti-inflammatory like aspirin or ibuprofen, then you are blocking the metabolism of these particular fatty acids, and you know the results. You may have heard of people taking a daily aspirin to prevent stroke or relieve arthritis pain. That also reduces colon cancer risk. I'm not a proponent of going paleo, but humans evolved eating far more omega-3s, which are anti-inflammatory, than omega-6s that are generally pro-inflammatory. So, eating more omega-3s and less omega-6s would be better for everyone. However, seeds are vary widely in composition, so we have to be specific about which seeds. What you said about moderation is important, though let's don't eat moderate amounts of feces. Wash those oxtails thoroughly. That is a reference to something that you and I talked about in the Frank and Dan diary.
Indeed.
But I suppose do wash your oxtails, I guess. I don't know. Thanks, Mark.
All right.
So I don't know. I'm still on the moderation thing. I think that that's good.
And depends, I suppose, on what you're cutting out of your diet with, because I mean, seed, like these oils like canola and whatnot, these were supposed to be the healthy options instead of like the oils and fats that we consume that come from animals, like, butter and tallow and whatnot. And so like it's, what fats are you consuming and what effects do those have on our health? I mean, I don't know. Anyway.
Now all of my fat consumption is just in the form of candle wax. That's all I do. I don't know if you've ever
you really
buttered your bread.
That
with
would explain the silky sheen of your hair lately.
I am gorgeous these days.
You've really, wow. Look at you.
I also
break
out in Wick's disease. Okay, Jonathan has written into us to say, "Hi, Frank and Dan. I have a bit of a moral quandary, and I'm uncertain how to proceed." This is a bad idea to ask us a moral question. I just out the chute, I'm just going to say you're barking up a bad tree. Frank is not chiming in about that, however.
Okay.
I am a professor, and most of my students are taking my class as part of a requirement for entry into a more specific degree plan. Therefore, it's not uncommon for previous students to reach out to me for a letter of recommendation for their applications. Generally, I do not have a problem granting their request. A couple of days ago, I received a request from a former student. She is one of those rare students who is incredibly studious and academically gifted. Normally, I would immediately agree. However, I know that this application is for a program at a very problematic evangelical private school, one with a long history of oppressing women and covering up sexual assault. Oh, you mean an evangelical private school? I thought that was just contained within that phrase. Here we go. Jonathan says, "I'm very conflicted in how to handle or even approach this. It's her right to attend whatever program she wants, and I don't feel that I have any right to try to stop that. But at the same time, I'm uncomfortable helping her put herself in a potentially dangerous situation. That also feels problematic. So, should I voice my concerns, or do I risk mansplaining the situation? And if I do, and she still wants the recommendation, then go ahead with it. My only interactions with the student were during class time." Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know the ethics of academia.
And letters of recommendation, writing rules and whatnot. I think people, I mean,
I think you got to write the recommendation.
I think
no matter what, you have to write it.
She's in charge of her own path in life, right?
Yeah.
And it's not anybody's, especially a former professor, in my mind, perspective to protect her from her choices.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it is, but
I think
I wouldn't expect that from a professor. It's nice that what was the emailer's name again?
Jonathan.
I think it's nice that Jonathan, is thinking like that, but I don't know that it's.
And of course you want to save her from this awful thing that she wants to go through. I get that.
Well, it's probably really nice when a really good student comes along, and if you ever considered what your student's future might be, it is probably a little disappointing when they're not maybe going as far as they could.
Yeah.
Right? Reaching for an education at a evangelical school probably is not going as far as she could go.
It's not what you dreamed for her.
Right.
But alas, I think
her choice.
I think you got to tell. I mean, I suppose you could write a letter of recommendation that is like, praise Satan, she is the best student. All hail to Beelzebub. I can't believe how good she is at this. Don't make it about her being satanic. Make it about you being a Satanist.
Yeah.
And then it might just cast enough of a shadow that she doesn't get it. No, do not sabotage this girl.
No.
I don't know. I in terms of talking to her about it, I don't know what the ethics of that are. I don't. If you had more of a relationship with her, it might make more sense. But
maybe it could be not so much from the perspective of I wouldn't go to that school if I were you. Maybe it could be, I really think you would be a good fit maybe at this other place. Not a better fit. Just have you considered X, Y, or Z school that maybe has a really good program in whatever this field is?
And then extol the virtues of that school,
yeah,
including but not limited to so much less covering up of rape and sexual assault.
Yeah,
you wouldn't believe how little they cover up rape and sexual assault at this school. I think you'd really like that part of it, especially the not covering up sexual assault.
Yeah. But basically saying if you go to that school, you're going to get raped is probably not the right.
I don't know. Maybe.
Approach.
I don't know. Say it. I say it. See what happens.
Good Lord. No, bad
Let
advice.
us know how that goes. Okay. Well, do we have some folks to thank?
We do, Dan. We have a new patron on Patreon this week. Steven is coming in as a teacher. So congratulations, Stephen, especially, having just received the Aaronic priesthood.
Yes. What a special time.
Lucky you.
It is in your life.
So go do what Mormon teachers do.
Yeah. Go ye forth.
And if you'd like to join Stephen in supporting the show, please do so. You can go to our website, thankgodimatheist.com/donate, and there's options, including a little reminder to leave us a 5-star review on whatever platform you listen to us on. We got one this week that was just lovely. So thank you, dear listener, for going out and doing that. And as always, Dan, we have our top donor to thank, our Lord and Savior, Davis.
More show coming up. Well, Frank,
Dan,
I saw, and I don't know if you know this, but Los Angeles has suffered a horrible thing.
Yeah.
And that is Gary Busey.
How dare you?
But Los Angeles has also suffered from some awful fires that have been pretty devastating.
Yeah.
And our hearts deeply go out to those who are
absolutely
affected, including friends of mine. Like, this really is, I mean, who doesn't know people in LA? And it's like, it's awful.
Yeah.
So sorry that you had to deal with this. Even more sorry that you have to deal with the insufferable Christians who can't stop talking about what a miracle it was that on a block of everyone's house burning down, my shit made it.
They're the opportunism that they engage in any disaster. Like, it's just disgusting. I'm really more and more disgusted by the Christian response to disaster.
Yeah.
Right? Because I mean, when Lahaina burned, there were similar stories of like there was a specific house, which actually, interestingly enough, there was a house in Lahaina that the fire sort of skipped over. It had a metal roof.
This is Maui. This is
in
Hawaii.
Maui. Yeah. It had a metal roof and was just, it didn't catch, right? For whatever reason. It was right on the coast. And somebody was peddling that photo as evidence of a house being saved by God in Los Angeles. Yeah.
God damn it.
But that's all. Yeah. That's
the story.
And then
they paired that picture with AI built up pictures.
Yep.
And then paired that with the story of a real guy, who weepingly told news reporters that God saved his house on a block where everybody else's house got destroyed. Thank God he saved his house. And look,
I mean, he's really that guy's really special, Dan.
Hey, I get it. Like, when you're in that scary moment, and you get to look around and you see that yours is the only house on the block that survived. There are many emotions surrounding that. Like, that is a mixed emotion moment.
But also
all of your neighbors lost their homes.
Yeah.
And that's tragic. And yet you get to feel happy because your stuff.
And also, like, maybe stop and listen to yourself, because aren't you saying that your neighbors are undeserving of God's love and protection, right?
Yeah.
Like, isn't that real? Aren't you also in that moment casting judgment on your neighbors?
I feel like it should be incumbent on Christians to teach each other. Don't say that.
You would think.
Don't do that. That's not an okay thing to do. But they do it constantly. And I get it that, like, they want to confirm their beliefs, and they want, that's a good feeling.
Yes. It's got to be a good feeling to know that God burned Los Angeles down so that your house could survive.
To give you a personal message of how good you are.
Yeah, that's great. God's really cool.
I mean, it also assuages.
Cool miracle there, douchebag.
Real cool. It also, like, assuages the constant cognitive dissonance that those people will be feeling. Like, if God is good and God loves us, why did God burn down all of these houses and churches and everything? Oh, wait, look, this statue of Mary in someone's home wasn't what remained unharmed.
Yeah. That's a real one.
It's a sign.
That's a real, and that's a real example. You sent me the video for that.
Yeah.
And it's a fucking crazy, like, video.
Oh, you mean the solid concrete thing didn't burn with all of the wooden stuff around it?
Yeah,
wow.
no kidding. Like,
fucking miracle, man.
Yeah. You want a real miracle? The Mary statue next door made out of Duraflame that survived.
Yeah. That would be impressive.
That's the miracle.
Why don't they make those out of Duraflame? I feel like they should. Like, imagine how much more how much bigger your feelings are about how impressive it is that something survived. If that should be the telling thing for them. They should be all on board with that.
Yeah. Anything that is actually flammable that survives, you can claim as a miracle.
I will at least claim it more.
I will at least be less dismissive of you.
Yeah.
If your pinata Jesus is survived. Right.
You'll sound like less of a dick. If
wait, why aren't there pinata Jesuses?
Yes. I think that is a niche product that you've come up with. I haven't met the people that would be excited about it, but I still think you should try.
I need Jesus on a cross, pinata style.
Yes.
That is what I need. I am typing that into what is it? The
internet? Is that what you're trying?
No, one of those image generator things.
Oh yes, exactly.
ASAP.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great idea, and it should happen. We already have insured our place in hell, so why not? Let's go for it.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah. It's so fun. Here's one thing I would like to say though. We, dear listener, you and I, all of us in the atheist world, we know what a dick move it is when people say, it's a miracle my house survived. It's a miracle. This is a miracle. That's a miracle. And I understand the impulse to jump in and say, oh yeah, well, what about all the houses of worship that were destroyed? Or what about this? Or what about your neighbor and blah, blah, blah. It's not a good time to be a dick right now. It's not a good time to be an I told you so to some, because people are suffering. So we're doing, we're having fun here on the show.
Yeah.
But on the social medias, they just remember that there are real people with real feelings out there that could feel something.
That's nice of you, Dan.
Yeah, I don't know. If it's in an atheist group on Facebook, dive in. Please enjoy your.
Well, it's blowing off steam and
calling out bullshit.
Yeah,
it's very real bullshit.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just do keep in mind that there are people with feelings. Yeah. I think we all forget that on the social medias. I think that's an easy thing to forget. And I'm going to start calling for it more and more.
Oh, Dan, look at you. Doing good in the world, Dan.
But I've heard of them. I don't have feelings, but I've heard that they exist out there, and we should be mindful.
Even more miraculous, Dan, that you would, as someone with no feelings, be concerned about the feelings of others. Although smart, since you don't understand them,
right?
Not having never experienced them.
Yeah. As I've studied your species, it has become clear that there are feelings.
That I need to be sensitive to these things called feelings.
Yeah. All right. Well, friends, if you would like to tell us your feelings about anything that we've said on the program, write into us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message. We'd love to hear from you. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
Yeah. Hey, to support the show, go to thankgodimatheist.com/donate and give us some money, please.
This episode was edited by Roger Gowdy, and music was provided by the Red Rock Hot Club and Gordon Johnston.
Yeah. Hey, thanks to all y'all for tuning in. We sure do appreciate you.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Thank God I'm Atheist is a production of TGIA Media, LLC, copyright 2024, all rights reserved.